You boys know what's about to happen to you. You'd leave now.
Some consider these traits to be toxic, such as undesirable in the men of today. We consider these traits such as these not only to be desirable, but to be appreciated and celebrated. Welcome to the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, hosted by and La Reina Creole. Welcome to the safe space for the toxic male.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Reina Creole, and I am here with my wing woman, her of positive fandom. And this, of course, is the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, where we appreciate those traditional masculine traits that some people call toxic, but we're reclaiming that. Isn't that right, my dear?
Yes, we are. And I think the person you've chosen for today, Lorena, is the perfect toxic male in so many ways, Lorena.
Absolutely, especially considering the first thing that I saw him in. Oh, we are so going to get to that in a minute. Let's see, DK Greek 94, good to see you. Says, hey, Lorena, and hope you both have a great show. Liked Peaky Blinders, or we are going to get into that. Trust and believe. So, folks, yes, our subject for this episode is Cillian Murphy, who is I was gonna say it wrong. He's an Irish actor.
Yes.
And he is going to be starring in a film that releases, I believe, is it the 20th? Or is it the 20th? I think the 21st officially, and then the 20th before that is kind of like the preview night of Oppenheimer, which is a film you and I have been talking about for quite some time.
Yeah, and Oppenheimer really is getting a lot of chatter. People are saying it's groundbreaking, heartbreaking. I think last night was a preview night. I actually didn't look to see what the preview said on purpose because I just wanted to leave things kind of like with a fresh point in my mind. But to be honest with you, Lorena, there hasn't been a film that's had chatter like this. And for it to be a historical film, on top of all that, it's even more fascinating.
Extremely fascinating. Oppenheimer, who I didn't know his name, and this is from the Oppenheimer. I believe this is from the premiere of Oppenheimer, which, since SAG and AFTRA decided to go on strike, the cast of the film, they pretty much walked out in solidarity. You can go and read that on your own. But we got fabulous pictures of the cast. Love the backdrop. If you go and see the pictures, Florence Pugh's dress blends in perfectly with the color theme. And of course, we've got Cillian Murphy here. And as I was saying, Oppenheimer was a name that I did not know. And it wasn't until I lived in Los Angeles, I kept seeing like this, Oppenheimer. And I'm like, who is this guy? And it turns out that this is a man that is partly responsible for the big push in, we'll say, physics, science, all of that. So much that he put into practice has been taught in chemistry, physics. Nuclear fission was something that was like esoteric, and we would go and we would do, these equations, these pictures and stuff like this. And it's just this esoteric thing. And they talk about the atomic bomb and the chain reaction that started it, and just everything that went into developing that. So it's just this esoteric thing, but I didn't know anything about the man Oppenheimer. So as an engineering nerd, I'm so looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. I know nothing about him really, about his life. So it is very, very fascinating, Lorena. And, over the past few years, we've been seeing some television series and some interest in, let's say, physics in general. And you and I talked about different series that were out there that dealt with physics, that dealt with fusion and fission reactors, or the possibility
Hmm.
of them, and some disasters. Certainly, the Chernobyl series that came out in HBO about a year or two ago, opened a lot of eyes. A lot of people enjoyed that series. They just made one about the Fukushima Daiichi disaster after
Hmm.
the earthquake. I think it was in 2014. I could be wrong on the date, but how that situation happened. And to be honest with you, Lorena, I don't remember all the details of what happened in Fukushima Daiichi. But the point is that the story is about either how they averted it or how they handled it. And I think it's called Days or something like that. Also something that has a lot of interest. And we're talking about Oppenheimer, who has this influence, as you said, an incredible amount of influence over kind of making science more aware to people, I guess, is way, kind of rephrase what you're saying. But I know nothing about him. I know nothing about his personal life. I don't know anything about his challenges, his goals, his life. But I recognize the name because I knew he was important in science, but also because there's like a investment group, I think, called Oppenheimer Funds.
Oppenheimer funds, yeah.
And everybody who is a professional, and I'm assuming, you and I are professionals. Anybody who's a professional knows Oppenheimer Funds, because that, along with Vanguard and a bunch of other ones,
And Black, yeah.
groups that they tell you, oh, you might want to look into this one, or you might want to go ahead and look into that one. And for me, they all seem the same, but still, it's like a name. They chose that particular name on purpose because, oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I think they chose that name on purpose because of the influence this individual had. And it's going to be interesting to see his journey. Cillian Murphy has a history of playing figures that are important, I think, in history, in a sense. And we're going to talk about that. This is so much to talk about Cillian Murphy.
There's so much to talk about. And again, I'm so excited about this film. When I lived in suburban Philadelphia, there was a certain thing called the 3 Mile Island accident.
Yes.
That was also nuclear related, but it all boiled down to a button wasn't labeled correctly. That is what happened. But it made me very aware of nuclear power. Asked so many questions in science class, and literally with Oppenheimer here, I'm going to say he's partly responsible to why the periodic table of the elements basically blew up. Thank you for making me having to learn, the extra one. So
what's also kind of interesting, Lorena, and I'm not going to say much more about this, but it feels like nowadays that people have more access to information, but they also might have more access to where these reactors are. It feels that way. It doesn't feel as if things are as secure or locked down as they were. It almost feels like there might be, this is just my gut feeling, that there might be people who want to mess around with this stuff. And we've seen a lot of movies where this happens, where somebody's like, okay, we got to get some plutonium somewhere. And it's like, well, who needs plutonium? Who needs that? I can't even speak. Who needs plutonium? Who needs P30? Like, why would anybody need that? And so it goes on, kind of the notion of, well, we got to make sure that these bad guys don't get it. I mean, ever since Back to the Future, where he had stolen.
Just what I was going to say.
So it's ingrained in the geek culture, especially what you could do with it. And for people, my engineering theories are great, but my engineering experience is usually, let me go grab an extension cord. So, just to be honest with you. But, if you're a professional, we're very familiar. We've heard of this, and the contributions are, many are staggering. And I think it's very interesting. I hope this will put more of a focus on physics coming up. I want to see those people who are into that as well.
Absolutely, because it is I can't even emphasize how important people like Oppenheimer, like Einstein, all of these people who were attached to this project with the nuclear bomb project, how much that affected what we know now, or I would say ever since then, um, physics and chemistry and chemical engineering and mechanical engineering that are taught in schools. It's a lot, but go see Oppenheimer. But we're going to tell you some more about Cillian Murphy, so you have some more exposure to who this man is. So he was born in Cork, Ireland. Cork. Yeah, I have some DNA cousins from Cork. Uh, but let's see. His father worked for the Irish Department of Education. His mother was a French teacher. He went to study law at University College of Cork, but dropped out. Decided that was not for him.
Mhm.
He then pursued an interest in music, played the guitar in various bands, and then when he left university, I guess parallel to music, he joined a theater group. So he is a theater trained trained actor, and
Yeah.
apparently, oh, I'm sorry, my dear, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. I was agreeing. Yes, absolutely. He is a theater, as long history on the stage.
Hmm. Absolutely, and apparently in a film adaptation of Disco Pigs. I had not heard of Disco Pigs. I did not know what that was, but there is one film that he was in, and as a horror fan, I am embarrassed that I never got a chance to see this,
Oh,
and
you
that would
haven't
be
seen this?
20. I have not
You
seen
haven't
it.
seen this?
I have heard so
You
much stuff
haven't
about this movie
seen this?
for 28 days later. I
Oh my
remember people telling me, they're just like, man, these
oh.
zombies move like it's crazy.
We're gonna do
And
a watch party on the Burnett Network for this. We're
we're
doing a
gonna
watch.
have to. I remember Naomi Harris. I
Yes.
remember they were talking about Naomi Harris in this film. And I guess I guess he's like right there. But I've heard so much about 28 days later. And I think that is what put him on the radar, on the big screen for audiences over here. Because I mean, granted, I had not heard of him until certain body of work we're going to get into. But 28 days later, that movie blew up.
It really did. I mean, this was a huge blockbuster hit, that was unbelievable. And in particular, there were certain things about 28 Days Later that I'm not going to say it was the first time we ever saw it, but it was the first time that it was ever really pointed out to me what a jump shot was. And I don't know whether they were commonly used before. I have no idea whether, they've been used forever, but there were
Hmm.
some jump shots in the movie that everybody kept just we're so amazed. I mean, we see jump shots in YouTube videos nowadays where, it zooms in really quick to the person and it's like, they kind of pop up very fast. But at
Hmm.
that time, and I think the film was made in the year 2000 or 2000.
2002. Yes.
That's like over
Yes.
20 years ago. It was very unusual. We were just doing kind of digital work. Like it wasn't as common. So
Hmm.
the effects in it were unbelievable. And Cillian Murphy, this was like one of the coolest zombie things. This is before The Walking Dead. This is before all of
Hmm.
that fun stuff that we remember from it. That guy who gets something in his eye, you'll recognize him. We talked about him. I think his last name is Gleason. But he along with the cast, they were just unbelievable. Yes, it's Brendan Gleeson, and he was wonderful in this. It starts off, it's not a spoiler. He starts off very similar to The Walking Dead, where you have, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's in the hospital and wakes up and he doesn't know what's happened. And
Wow.
he looks outside the door and there's nobody around. And then, of course, the realization of what's happened. So it's a very similar start. I don't know which one came first. Probably The Walking Dead was written a long time before this film came out. But,
Mhm.
because it's based on the comic books, right?
Yeah, they started with the comics first. And I know there was a lot of talk when The Walking Dead came out. A lot of analogy that I can't talk today, made with 28 days later
Oh, I
because
didn't
of
know
because
that.
usually your zombie movies, zombies like they kind of, and finally, they overpower you just because of their sheer numbers. But in The Walking Dead, those things were moving. It's kind of like Zombieland. You better be good with your cardio, because if not, you're gonna get eaten first. But these shots from 28 days later show just how fast, and these zombies were not what you expected. The Walking Dead, I think, as we were saying, also helped elevate this film to the point where it was literally and it still is a cult classic. And this is gonna have to go on the Halloween viewing, the Halloween horror movie. We do it every year on my channel, just a string of horror movies. This is gonna have to be one of them. 28 Days Later, which is flipping amazing.
It is amazing. Lorraine, you're going to love this film. I am going to say that Cillian Murphy brings it to life. It's him. It has to be focused on him. There's a lot riding on a film when it's just you, and there's not a lot of people to talk to necessarily.
Mhm.
So, when a good portion, a quarter or half of the film is just you and you have to act this, it's not the easiest thing to pull off. Not everybody can do it. Not everybody has the presence. He rocked this, and I just love him in this film. I love him.
Oh God, I love it. I love it. Another film that I saw, but it did not hit me that this was Cillian Murphy, would be Batman Begins. Apparently, he played the Scarecrow in this.
Yeah. Yeah. He's famous for this role. And I was unaware that it was him as well. Just another great performance that he gave in this. And this is a very, very popular film. We should have known this one, but we didn't. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, it was just like I had zero idea. I mean, there are these movies that you will see and you will not know who that person is. It's just like you see them and you're just like, I don't know who they are, but they're flipping awesome, because I remember this performance because I love Batman Begins. Um, it's amazing. You have somebody like this, such a poignant actor. You don't remember his name, but you remember his face, and it's just like, dang, I saw him and didn't even know who he was. DK
Yeah.
Greek says Batman Begins was underrated.
And I think he followed up with the next, I don't remember what the next one was, whether it was was it The Dark Knight?
Yep, it was a Dark Knight. He's done a lot with Christopher Nolan, which is interesting story. I can't believe I don't have the article up, but I did read it a bit earlier today. Apparently, Christopher Nolan did want him as the lead character for a film, and it hadn't had the chance to come up, but he's been in all of Christopher Nolan's Batman films, and he's been working for Christopher Nolan for quite some time. So when Oppenheimer came up, Cillian was the man he wanted to play Oppenheimer, just because it's going to be interesting. Nolan was basically like, I know that you're the right person for this, because this film is to help you understand the man behind the atom bomb, the personality of a man who would develop this, the pressure that was on him to develop this, and the aftermath of being known as the man responsible for partly for nuclear fission. I think Einstein is in Oppenheimer too. I believe he's in there too. Yeah,
And
he's in there too.
And I'm not going to say I'm sure why Einstein got, let's say, it's not really about who gets more attention or who more people know about. Einstein kind of made headlines a lot of times, especially when he came over to the United States and he wanted to teach at a university, and Princeton kind of opened their doors for him, but it wasn't easy when he came over. He had a lot of obstruction. I mean, it sounds remarkable right now, but at the time, it was pretty much how people treated him was not very nice. And so despite his accolades, despite his accomplishments, he had to deal with that nonsense. So that was a reality at the time. And for somebody who was so incredibly wise, it must have been quite an annoyance. But he found a home in Princeton for I guess, I don't know for how long, but he was there for a good long time. And
Hmm.
a lot of people are very familiar with the way Einstein looked in his latter years, and also there's a lot of memes with Einstein.
Yes.
But
Yes.
Oppenheimer are few and far between.
Hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. But I'm looking forward to seeing, the interaction between Oppenheimer and Einstein. Again, these people, these greats who you and I have learned about
Oh yeah,
repeatedly
yeah.
in science classes, and it's like they're not, it's like they're tangible, but not really. So seeing them in these films being brought to life, is extremely important. Imagine, kids like, yeah, Einstein, he's that, that weird looking dude with the hair who's in all the memes, that guy.
That was him much older. He looked like a normal guy I guess when he was in Austria or whichever European country he studied in. He looked just like an ordinary average student. He didn't look
Hmm.
strange or unusual. So, they're
Right.
catching him on what I like to call, post tenure professor days, when they're like, oh, I got tenure now. Well, you guys can
I
kiss
can
my
look however the heck I want to look now.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I would say, after Einstein, I would say probably the most important astrophysicist after that would have been Stephen Hawking. So for young kids, you know who Stephen Hawking is, right? Hawking
Mhm. Well, we do.
piggybacks right off
But
Einstein. Yeah.
and Hawking's another one who had an incredible amount of memes made about him. And he also had a lot of promotion about him from The Big Bang Theory, which was a television show where they couldn't get enough of Hawking. Like they were like Hawking worshipers, which is fine. Like it's cool to have somebody at the time he was still alive. I don't know whether he was still alive during the show. I think he was, but the point being that it was great to
Mhm.
have, somebody you look up to still be alive and do that.
Yeah.
Lorena, I was watching Manhattan, the TV show, which is about the nuclear program in New Mexico in the night during the war. It was either during the war or before the war or something. I don't remember which year. And they really geek out. Like there are all these brilliant scientists there, and then they're like, Niels Bohr is going to be here, and they're like, what? Bohr is going to be here, and it's like. It's hilarious. It's so good. And Boris, like the way they depicted Boris, like all he wants to do is like go get a beer and hang out. Like he doesn't want to talk about science at all. He just wants to chill and have fun. And he's like, hey, everybody. It's like he's like it's really, I thought, very refreshing to kind of see the human side of these famous scientists. So I'm
Hmm.
expecting we're going to be getting a lot more things like this. I hope Oppenheimer will open up the door to more science.
I certainly do hope so. And speaking of science, we'll go to science fiction because the interesting thing about this is that Cillian Murphy, he's uncredited in this, but he is Dillinger.
Oh my goodness gracious.
That is another face. I'm just like, I know who that dude is, but I can't predict. Yeah. So apparently he's Dillinger. For those of you who do, for you kids who don't know, Dillinger was the baddie in the original Tron movie. So they kind of did that flashback. I think it was the newsreel how they were showing about what had happened at NCOM, and they showed Dillinger. So yeah, Cillian Murphy was the face of Dillinger. So we're gonna have to go back and rewind the tape or grab
Absolutely.
get the MP3 or get your digital download and go back and scrub and find where he is. Yes, he is Dillinger in Tron Legacy.
Well, I have to go ahead and see if I can find him in that. And I did love Tron. I don't care how well it did in the box office is completely irrelevant to me. I think the fact that they even came back to make another film is a miracle. We know that it's a miracle for them to take a chance sometimes. So I'm glad they did that. And I kind of liked the way this film looked as well. I think they kept the cool look
Hmm.
of the original Tron, and I'm still looking for that arcade, Lorena. I'm still looking for that arcade.
I need that arcade. I need that arcade in my life.
Yes.
And I could care less. I didn't I granted I had my issues with the film. I didn't think the film was all that good, but
Yes.
that soundtrack was life. I had to buy it because I freaking love Daft Punk.
Mhm.
So I had to
Derez.
yep, derez. Absolutely. So much so that I have that thing in my intro for when I do my gaming videos.
Oh
It
wow.
is, yeah, it's insane. So folks got to go back, find where he is as Dillinger so you can see Cillian Murphy. But to go on to the thing that I know Cillian Murphy from, and that would be Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders.
We're the Peaky Blinders. This between the soundtrack that they used, which the soundtrack was modern, but the series was not. I mean, you have these gangster. First of all, Americans love gangster films, and some of my friends from the UK were like, "We really don't understand why Americans like this one so much." I said, "Because it's a gangster movie. I mean, a gangster series. Of course, we want to see it." And wow,
Yeah.
Thomas Shelby, this dude, he is a poster. I want to say poster boy, but poster man for toxic masculinity. I mean, he's into protecting his family, even though, they're not in the best business, but his family means everything to him.
It does, and it's the first time I ever saw Anna Taylor-Joy. She kind of, I'm not going to say it launched her career, but she was in this series, and she was very, very popular character in the series, was fantastic in this. Peaky Blinders, I just absolutely love it. It's set in, what is it, 1920, 1930?
Like 1920s, started around not prohibition, because they didn't have prohibition in Ireland, but around the 1920s, because it was after the First World War. There's another theme that goes through this. There's the lost generation. We talk about that, the lost generation, those who fought in World War I. And of course, it's not Barbie, but we're going to. Interesting, because Cillian had something to say about Barbie too. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah,
his character. We talk about the lost generation. They went off to war, came back to a world that just wanted to forget. They wanted to forget about World War II, and they forgot about the veterans from World War II. Excuse me, World War I. They forgot about them, and a lot of them became alcoholics. They were coping other ways. So you see this struggle with Thomas Shelby when he's like, "I did my job, for the king. I did my job, and this is what I get." And you see him empathize with others who did fight in World War I for the king. So you see him empathizing with how these men, and I believe even his own brother, how they, are trying to cope with, this PTSD from World War I, but also trying to eke out a living in, let's say, an England that is very stratified by class. And the Irish are basically seen as the bottom of the rung. But Thomas Shelby is like, I don't care who you are, you're not going to mess with my family. You're especially not going to hurt my sister. And, even knowing, I'm probably going to spoil this for you. Even knowing that his nephew is still alive. And he didn't want to tell his sister because he's just like, I know you're going to be obsessed with this. He doesn't care. He falls in love with Anna Taylor-Joy's character, and that whole thing.
Yep.
Amazing.
It really was a great series, and I think it just recently concluded, or maybe they do have another season. But it was very much like, and someone has down in the chat about it being like Boardwalk Empire. It did remind me a lot of Boardwalk Empire, and I really just love this series so much. I think it brought out so much potential in the actors who starred in the series, and Cillian Murphy did a fantastic job in this. He was so good.
He an absolutely killer job. And I really do have to thank the Dark Council, because Peaky Blinders was not on my radar until they were like, yeah, we just finished up watching the Peaky Blinders, I love that show. I'm like, okay, well, if y'all love it, I definitely have to check out Peaky Blinders.
Absolutely.
And sure enough, hooked from the first episode. This is, I want to say, par for, I think, did BBC help produce it? I mean, it is on Netflix, but I think
it was a BBC production. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Usually the BBC productions are, legit. You're in for a time of great drama, storyline, everything. Usually, we're not going to talk about Doctor Who, last season's Doctor Who, but for the most part, I mean, this was fabulous. I haven't finished the season. I think I stopped at season 4 because I'm like, I gotta go watch other stuff to catch up on. But I have to go back and watch this, because again, Cillian Murphy is amazing in this. Peaky Blinders again introduced him to a lot of Americans who didn't know who he was, and then as soon as they saw him, they were like, oh shoot, this is one of my favorite gangster series, ever. Hey, Dad Man Walking says, good afternoon, ladies. Good afternoon to you. Yeah, Cillian is, I got to go back to watch Peaky Blinders. I mean, when the reason why we love period pieces like this, it goes back to a time where, like it or not, traditional masculinity was valued, highly valued. Even when he meets Anna Taylor-Joy's character, I think in a bar, and it's just like, this is not where women should be.
Yeah.
And not doing it to say, you don't belong here like that. It's basically, you don't belong here because you are not safe here. Mm-hmm. And they make that very plain, that is the reason why, that he is like that. And it's so refreshing. So I can see why a lot of men love this show. It's that's just amazing.
Absolutely, Lorena. It is such a great show, and he certainly did make the show a success.
Absolutely. So we're going to jump to another movie, which I haven't seen it. It's kind of bad that I haven't seen it. I think because well,
what?
I just didn't have a chance to watch it. I didn't have a chance to watch the first one all the way through.
Oh,
literally, I started watching it, and I can't even recall what happened while I was watching it, and I had to stop. But I had to go back. I heard so many good things about A Quiet Place, and then the part 2 also came out, which did really good. For folks who don't know, it's like this alien. What is it? It's like a race of, like, I want to say like the bugs in Starship Troopers, kind of like in a way. They're triggered by sound.
Yeah, they will leave you alone, but if they hear you make noise, then they come for you. And they're terrifying. Like, you can't get away from them. And the film is about dealing with life on Earth after their invasion, or if you want to call it that. It kind of, and I don't think he has anything to do with it, but it kind of felt like an M. Night Shyamalan kind of film. But it's produced by Emily Blunt and her husband, Krasinski. And they did part 1 and 2. Part 2 was a smash hit last year, and now they're doing 3. It's a huge success. So I think part 2 was a precursor to part 1, Lorraine.
Yeah, I think it was a preview, and that's Cillian right there. He is his character is Emmett. I'm gonna switch over here. So that's his character. I would not. I had to look like twice. I'm like, is that? I think that's okay. Yeah, that's him.
That certainly is him. He plays a guy who I think had lost his child or family, and he's a recluse. I believe that's the role he's
Oh.
playing, and he does a
Mhm.
great job. And there's it's a miracle that this family is even alive. But especially since they have the children and they let the kids
Yes.
out. So, but certainly it's a struggle, and we do see different things of how they got to where they are. So it is a fun series to watch. I don't know if Beyond Three, whether it's going to go any farther, but a lot of people enjoyed it. It's a great, thriller, horror thriller, if you want to call it that. It's really good.
Yes, I've heard nothing but good things about this. And Dead Man Walking says, "Wow, a rare second movie that doesn't actually ruin the franchise." Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about this, and you can see with the popularity meter that it's still extremely popular. Movie made a ton of money because it had a small budget. I'm trying to remember. Is this Bloomhouse? I'll have to check. Oh no, Platinum Dunes. That's right, because that's their production company. Okay. I want to say kind of like Bloomhouse. It's practical effecty and long story short, that movie made a ton of flipping money.
It really did. And I was going to say, it certainly did make a lot of money, and it's continuing. People want to see the third one, so there's interest. It
Hmm.
was original concept, so it wasn't copying off of anything, which is rare these days.
Very, very rare. It was something original, not something, that you expected. And I think that's the reason why, that was so popular.
And Lorena, there's one other film before we get to Oppenheimer. It's called
Sure.
Anthropoid, and it's on the list of movies.
Antho, Antho. I'm gonna have to use my search here.
Yeah.
Uh, why is it not finding it for me? At least I can't find it on IMDb. So tell us about it.
The film is it's a war film. Cillian Murphy is the lead, and
Hmm.
he plays. It's about the story of Operation Anthropoid, which is a World War II assassination of Reinhard Heydrich by
I found it. I
ex
found it.
soldiers.
I found
And
it. I can't spell.
no, it's okay. It's okay. It's a true story. This is based on a true story. It's a World War II story. This is the first and only attack, I believe, at the time against, let's say, the Nazis. I could be getting this all wrong, so don't forgive me if I'm getting it wrong. I haven't seen the film since 2016. I saw it in Sag Harbor Theater, if that means anything to anybody watching here, before it burned down and became a trust theater. So I took my mom to see this film. She wanted to drink in the theater. I was the youngest person in the theater, and she's like, "Can I have a drink?" And I'm like, "Sure." So I open up the thing, and I see everybody like watching me, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" I didn't know people were going to see me opening up a bottle in the theater. But that's another time. It's a story for another time. The story was fantastic. It's based on a true story.
Wow.
These undercover soldiers decide that they're going to try and assassinate somebody. I don't know whether it's Hitler or some other very important SS officer. And what happens is they succeed. They assassinate him. And it is quite a production. I think it is rather involved story and how they did this. And yeah, so historically, I believe it's 100% true. It did not turn a profit, but I don't think that's why the film was made. I think the film was made as a historical reference only. So I'm not surprised that he would make things. He does a lot of period piece
Hmm.
things. So I wasn't surprised to see him make Anthropoid when he did it. And it really was kind of like there was a lot of chatter about this film in 2016, around the independent film crowd about it. So everybody's like, "Oh, have you seen it?" I'm like, "I haven't seen it." I'm like, "What is Anthropoid?" Of course, I'm like, "What is it? Anthropomorphizing what? Like, what is it? Like, is some kind of scientific term?" And it really wasn't. It was just about these Czechoslovakian soldiers
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. I hope I'm saying this right. It says it tells the story of Operation Anthropoid, the World War II assassination of Reinhard Heydrich by exiled Czechoslovakian soldiers Josef Gabčík and Jan Kubis. And it's based on a true story. It actually happened. It was a fantastic film, Lorena. It's sad, but it's an amazing film. I recommend it if you are a Cillian Murphy fan. Go ahead and watch this film. This is history. This is real history.
Wow. I love historically based films. So I'm definitely going to have to check that one out. Anthropoid. Thank you for finding that one.
Yeah, trust me.
Cool.
I didn't, like I said, I had heard chatter about it. And as we were walking through Main Street, we were not going to go to Southampton to go to the movies. We always go to the Sag Harbor Theater because they always have like unusual films. And I was not, yeah.
It's on Prime.
You watch it. It's a good film. It's a very good film. And I didn't know we were going to go see this, but my mother made me go to the liquor store first. So I'm just giving you an idea of what the story, like we were having a good time that summer. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, and to think my great grandmother used to bribe me to go buy her, chewing tobacco from the corner store. So I got.
Yeah.
And of course, Oppenheimer, which is coming very, very soon, releasing again July 21st. Of course, there are previews the night before on the 20th, starring Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, and of course Robert Downey Jr. And oh my gosh, is it Louise Pugh?
It's a lot. Yeah. Yes. Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Florence Pugh is going to be in it. Wow, this is such a Kenneth Branagh as Niles Bohr. Oh, okay, I'm geeking out right now. Tom Conti is Albert Einstein. Ooh. I mean, this is going to be flipping amazing. I cannot wait to see him in this.
Does he happen to resemble Oppenheimer? I have no idea what this man looks like.
I have no idea. Oh my gosh, that recreation looks gorgeous.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I've never seen him. The only one that I have a face reference for is Einstein. For some reason, well, there's two. Einstein
he had a picture. He looks like him.
Yeah, it's like Einstein and Tesla. Nikola Tesla. Usually see the pictures of them. They seem to be the most famous that you would see. Hey, that's got to be the Palatka grandma. No, that was my dad's grandma from like Mississippi. Yeah, was the other one. The Palatka grandma had me. Oh yeah, you know what? Oh dang it! I flipped both of them. Both of them made me buy them chewing tobacco. And Palatka grandma, yeah. She tried to make me feel guilty about, I have diabetes. I can't have sugar. At least I can have chewing tobacco. Long story. Both of them, okay? But this is going to be so much of a cool movie to watch and to check out. I just can't emphasize just how cool this film is definitely going to be. So folks, do check it out. I'm expecting some very, very toxic masculinity going on when it comes to this. Again, period pieces. They seem to do very, very well, extremely well in the theater. And there's no CGI in this film.
Oh.
It's all practical effects. I saw a preview in the theater, basically visualized what nuclear fission looks like. It looks crazy, amazing. So you have definitely have got to check that one out. And let's see, I just want to kind of switch to this, let you guys see this interview here. I believe this was today. The premiere I think was over in the UK.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We needed to get the right shape. So you just start eating less, stop eating more.
And we're here today as, SAG is voting on the strike, and I wondered what were your opinions on that, and what do you hope the outcome can be?
Listen, I just stand by my colleagues. That really is all I have to say on that at this point. But we need.
And that actually is very smart. One, if you look to the left of the screen, like all of that is practical effects. It's absolutely stunning.
It's amazing, Lorena. I can't wait to see this film. This might be the film of the summer. I can't wait. It's wonderful that historical films are getting this much attention.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And for folks who are wondering or want to know, yes, he's going to see the Barbie movie.
I mean, I'll be going to see Barbie 100%. I can't wait to see it. I think it's just great for the industry and for audiences that we have two amazing films by amazing filmmakers coming out the same day. And yeah, you spend the whole day in the cinema. What's better than that? I mean,
he's all for Barbenheimer, which is, I believe, what they're calling it. But one of the interesting things to note is when Cillian was talking earlier about the physical demands that he had to do for this role, you notice he's a lot thinner, which is why I did not recognize him at first in Oppenheimer, because he's very, very thin. And was it like a progression that stress is what made him lose weight like that, which it can, but it's just dedication to his craft to see that.
Yeah, he does look very different. He looks dramatically different. And, I'm going to say maybe too thin, but it's okay.
Yeah, I agree. It's too thin, but I think my guess is, this is just me, I believe there's a reason for that. It may be the stress manifesting. I'm just guessing. It's kind of like how you see US presidents. They go into office, they've got like all this great dark hair, and when they leave, it's really, really gray. It's like, okay, what the heck happened? But I'm excited. I'm doing the Barbenheimer thing. I'm actually going to see the Barbie movie on the 19th. I'm going to the Barbie party event. And then the next day, the Barbie party. I'm going to that. And the next evening, I'm going to go see Oppenheimer.
All right. It sounds perfect, Lorena.
Yeah, I'm excited because I am actually going to put out the money and go see it in IMAX.
Oh wow! I've heard it's spectacular. So, not surprised by that.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna pay to park. The place you got to pay to park, go to the IMAX theater. But let's just say that was the same theater that when they premiered Mission Impossible, that show was packed. The fan premiere event, it was packed. Absolutely packed.
I 100% believe it, and it's going to be amazing. People are going to be blown away by this film. I just know it.
I know they are. So one more thing to show you guys, because I know you guys are probably wondering, what is he going to be doing next? And I think, unfortunately, because of the strike, that this may actually be pushed to the side, so to speak. If it has not, I don't believe it's been shot at all. It's in pre-production 28 months later. So obviously a sequel to 28 Days Later. So you might want to put a pin in this to track what's going on with it. Again, in pre-production. In a way, I'm kind of glad, because I need to see the first one first before this one comes out.
There's a second one too, Lorena.
Oh, what one is that?
28 Weeks Later.
Man, there's a lot I need to catch up on. Wow. Okay, so I got two movies tied me over.
Yeah, see, okay. It's plot under wraps, the third film in 28 Days Later. So it's 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later, 28 months later, and I'm assuming 28 years later. Who knows? Like, it could just keep going. I love that they they did that. I love that it jumps,
Mhm.
from one to the next. So yeah, there's a 28 weeks later that came out after 28 days later.
Oh man, well, I am definitely have got to check that both of those two out. Yeah, they're probably going to go in the horror watch party. So, folks, that is going to do it for this episode of Toxic Male Appreciation. Definitely check out the body of work that Cillian Murphy has been involved in. Definitely go and check out Oppenheimer. We are just we're so excited about having that film come out. So, folks, do you want to tell the people where they can find you?
Yeah, guys, you can always find me here, of course, with Lorena on her channel for watch parties, on her Twitch channel here, and then of course on the YouTube channel for Toxic Male Appreciation. Of course, guys, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Positive Fandom, where I do all the parlay in the fandom. So do check out my channel. I do live streams. I do watch parties too. I'm doing a watch party right after this for 8 Men Out on Positive Fandom. I'm also doing a live watch party with you, Lorena, on Fridays at 8 p.m. Eastern for Outlander, the Outlander series, which has been amazing. But I'm also, what else am I doing? You can find me on the Burn Network with Lorena as well. We do our show, Ladies and BGS, on Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern. Please do like and subscribe to all those channels. And Lorena, thank you so much for having me here. You know I love this show so much.
Well, I love having you on here, my dear. It's just so much fun doing this show with you. Definitely subscribe to her of Positive Fandom. You can also see her on my channel on Saturday. If you're watching the replay on YouTube, it would have been last night. Watch party for Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Oh, I cannot wait to see this. Cannot wait to see this film. So you definitely do not want to miss out on the watch party for that. That's Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern, I will be streaming live from Universal Studios Orlando. More specifically, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. So we're having, some Harry Potter summer fun. We're going to go find some frozen butter beer. We're going to hang out in Diagon Alley. Well, not first. First, we got to hang out over in Hogsmeade. And then we're going to take the Hogwarts Express on over to Diagon Alley and then hang out over there, do some immersion in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. So I hope you will join me for that. And of course, Sunday, 1 p.m., replay of Toxic Male Appreciation, and 8 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. Welcome to Florida show. It's always something crazy. So you're gonna have to come and check that out. Actually, oh my God, it's Wix. Got it on my flip phone. He's always got a Publix piece of cake in his hand or some kind of snack from Publix. We are going to talk about just who this Florida man is and how he's just gone viral with his videos about Florida. So we're gonna talk about him.
Oh wow,
it's gonna be a blast. So, folks, thank you so much for checking us out. You're watching me here on Twitch. I am going to be running over to WDW Pro's channel for the second hour of their show. And do you have something else coming up this evening?
I do. It's not. Yes, I do. I have a review of Mission Impossible 7 on the Burn Network. Coming up at 8 o'clock and approximately 8. And then at Saturday at 6, I think you and I are doing a watch party of 1982, The Greatest Geek Year Ever, for at least one of the episodes. I think I can't remember if both episodes will be out that night, but we're going to be doing at least one of the episodes of The Greatest Geek Year Ever documentary. So please do check that out.
Yes, please do. As always, folks, we love you hanging out with us. You toxic males, stay toxic. We appreciate the heck out of you, and we will see you next time. Bye.